Welcome back, Toddler Tribe. Today we are talking about the difference between traits and characteristics. This is one of my favorite bodies of research to dive into, to really pull apart our identity inside our humanness. And I explored a little bit in the course that I have for you, Transforming the Toddler Years, in the nature versus nurture section. So let's get right into it, shall we? Have you ever said to yourself, I was just born that way? Have you ever looked at your toddlers and said, ugh, they've always been like that? They were just born that way. What exactly are you referring to? That's my question for you. I, by nature, have black hair. I was literally born that way. That is a trait of mine. It's biological, and it was given to me at conception, and it came to be true when my hair grew in, right? That's a trait. The shape of my nose, that's a trait. These are physical traits. Now, what about emotional traits? We talk about those by calling them personality traits. As a child, I was put into the calm, not quiet. I had a voice, liked to talk, chatty, but very cautious. I didn't like to take risks. I really enjoyed watching other people do it first. And maybe I would take the risk and maybe I wouldn't. I was put into that personality bucket of kind, empathetic, intuitively connected to other people, friendly, extrovert, definitely outgoing. That was me, right? And we grow through our personality traits. They are meant to evolve within us as we grow from toddlerhood into school age, young adult, and then adulthood. The things that come easily to us, to embrace them. Now, remember, everything has another side. We live in a world of verses. So there are traits that you have where the world is a little harder for you to interact with. Okay, so we've talked about physical traits. We've talked about personality or character traits. Now, let's flip over to the other side. Characteristics. That's a different story. It is. These are skills that we need as humans in order to interact in the world. Characteristics. Yes, they fuel our sense of self, our identity, our development, our choices, our capabilities in the world. Lots of them are self skills because young kids start in me land. That little egotistical brain, it's all about me, and it is. They're developing their who-ness. I love that. But those are the skills that we can practice and get better at. Again, from this list I'm about to read you, some of this is just incredibly intrinsic for us from birth. And others of these skills, boy, we have to work at it. We have got to work at it. And that work involves having a growth mindset, a belief system that just because skills are hard for us doesn't mean we'll never be able to learn them, apply them, and find achievement inside of them. That internal drive, that motivation, that intrinsic motivation to want to grow, to want to learn. That's what we want for our kids, right? So Let's talk about this list. I love this list. Kids who are developing an internal motivation to be learners, learners of themselves, learners in life, learners in school, learners everywhere, because we take these skills everywhere we go. They show commitment, conscientiousness, determination, gumption, persistence, perseverance, follow through, grit. You've heard that word thrown around a bit, yes? And of course, during the pandemic, we all took on this mantra of we can do hard things. There's that growth mindset. This is how you want to really support your child to grow into those skills. Now, am I preaching to the choir? Of course. Like, what parent doesn't want this? If I ask you directly, tell me who you would like to raise, you're going to list a lot of these things. You're going to say a lot more too. Friendly, kind, team player, empathetic, compassionate, shows up for others when they need, all the things, right? On time, maybe that's important to you. That punctuality piece and that if I started, I finish it piece. You know what matters to you because that's your value-based system. When we look at our kids in a moment, when they are not embodying those skills, and we play it off by just saying, oh, he's always been that way, not great at sharing, just born that way. Two really big things are happening. One, it's just not true. Sharing is a skill. The ability to borrow something from somebody else and then return it to them. The ability to wait for it to return to you. These are skills. They're not traits. Secondly, you're robbing your child of the opportunity to practice that skill. I'm going to say that again. And I know it sounds a little harsh, but it's just accurate. You're robbing your child of an opportunity to practice that skill. Practice does not mean get it right. It doesn't mean the perfect outcome. There could still be some high emotion. There could still be a little fallout. But when we're in a learning zone, it's uncomfortable. So by downplaying it, oh, it's just not great at that, you are allowing your child to sit inside their comfort zone, their safety zone. I'm going to use another really strong word. And it's because I love you so much. It's because I know you have goals and you want to be the parent who can bring your child there. You want to be the teacher who can lift your class there. When you hear those words come out of your mouth, you are enabling them to stay stuck in what is hard for them. It's true. Our job as parents, as teachers, as nannies, as caregivers, consistent, engaged caregivers in infants, toddlers, and preschoolers' lives is to lift them up. To say, I know this is hard for you. I know this is a skill that you have yet to achieve, but I am here to help you practice it. One of the ways I do this with kids is a game that I usually add a melody to called My Turn, Your Turn. It's our job to clean up this area before we move on to lunch. Let's do it together. My turn, your turn, my turn, your turn. And if you are watching this episode on our YouTube channel, then you're watching me use the sign language for my turn, your turn as well. Notice how I'm stacking sensory experiences for kids. I gave the direction. I could have easily just said, oh, cleaning up is such a battle with this kid. This kid is just not a cleaner. It's not them. But it's a skill. And we are going to work together to make it happen, right? So I laid the groundwork. I put down the boundary. It is time to clean up this area. I made it a we, not a you. Let's work together to get this done. And now I'm singing, speaking, and signing all at the same time. I'm attacking all senses. Because the more multisensory you can be with small kids, the more their brain is going to attune to you. And when they attune, they give your attention. And when you have their attention, well, things tend to happen. My turn, your turn, my turn, your turn. We're almost done. My turn, your turn, my turn, your turn. Only 2 things left. My turn, your turn. We did it. My deepest desire when you walk away from this episode is that you put on your eyeballs. You start to observe where you have been discounting what the kids in your life are capable of and make a shift. But choose the one thing that you really want to work on. Waiting. Waiting's a great one to start with. Waiting. I'm going to create opportunities for this toddler to wait 30 seconds for something, and then a minute for something, and then a minute and a half. And I'm going to honor and respect their feelings that waiting is hard, but I also know that it's a skill that they need to develop. So we're going to practice it. If you need any help, whether it's sorting out what you want to work on, exploring the nature of your child, and setting those goals, that is what I'm here for. Book a connection call with the link in the show notes, and I will happily spend some time with you online, unpacking all of this together. Until our next episode, my amazing toddler tribe, stay mindful and proactive as we transform the toddler years.